Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today we have Sacha Brant, who is a professional time saver helping business owners and entrepreneurs liberate their time and money. Her company, Sassy Lasses, will manage your slowest, most dreaded tasks so you can focus on what really matters, where the stuff that you really need to make happen in your business, which is, guess what? The business. So we're going to learn a little bit more about how Sacha does this and so much more. So Sacha, welcome.
Hi, Byron. Thanks so much for having me. It's absolutely great to be here with you.
Oh, well, glad to have you here. So how did you get into this world of helping people like this, of liberating their time, energy, and money? Because everybody has a journey.
Absolutely. And I've definitely had my journey, that's for sure. I mean, Reader's Digest condensed version, because we only have so much time, as I grew up with fewer of the luxuries and a lot more of the hardships. And that shaped who I was. So going through my journey and especially working for other companies and other businesses, I was able to gain a lot of tools, skills, knowledge. The last job that I worked at before I started my entrepreneurial journey was a big business that dealt with big clients. And they had completely lost their ability to personalize. They advocated lying to customers. I mean, it's things that I personally could not get behind. Now, at the same time, unfortunately, I was also dealing with domestic violence. So when the domestic violence situation became, resolved to the point of I was no longer physically in the situation, I found that I couldn't do the work that I was doing anymore. It was soul sucking. I couldn't lie to clients. I couldn't be that person and battle the damage that the domestic situation I was in caused. So I went on a medical leave from that place, and I started kind of building my own idea as to what I could do with myself to grow and improve. Now, what I've learned along my journey is that business ownership was my means to get my power back. It enabled me to be empowered again, to escape that really repressive environments. I had the ability to decide what I needed to do it. I controlled the finances, everything. And from the two outlets where I spent most of my time, both work and home, I had no power left. So for me, I built a business to build my own internal power, and I based it off of all the things that I learned not to do at all the jobs that I had done before.
Wow. Now that is a great way to get out of a situation, because you look at domestic violence and you see how many people they're stuck in that situation, and so many times it's because they don't have a way to get out in terms of financially supporting themselves, that if they don't stay there, they now don't have a roof over their head.
And that's the biggest piece. I mean, for most people escaping, especially ones that live with their partner, as I did, is that you fear, where am I going to get my money? Where am I going to be able to do any of these things? And there's a dependence that they almost force on you. And I mean, everybody's situation is going to be different. Mine was certainly, it was difficult, but for me, it was really empowering to be able to make my own money, decide what I was doing. And it gave me the means to find myself again. So I 100% agree. And it's unfortunate that so many people have to deal with domestic violence, especially because it can change your perceptions, the way you see life, the way you see yourself, and the way you see what you are capable of. I mean, it really does change everything that you think and see. So for me, being able to build a business helped me reinstate all of those personal values and internal feelings that had been erased by all of the bad.
Right. And I think it's so important that you did this, because it just shows that there's always a way out. It comes down to how resourceful a person is when they want to get out of a situation, because you look at the number of people say, well, I can't do this, or they're programming their mind with I can't, instead of looking at, well, what can I do?
Exactly. And I love that you said that. That's fantastic because in my household, in my business, with my business partners, can't is not even a thing that we will use. Part of what I had to learn going through therapy, going through building a business, going through all of the stuff that I did, and I know it sounds cliche, but it couldn't be more true. Whether you believe that you can or believe that you can't, you're right. And I had to really, really, really learn that lesson recovering from what I was dealing with because I didn't believe I could do anything. And there are, I mean, definitely there's going to be people out there that are like, oh, well, that's not me. I can't, I can't, I can't. Guys, there was a period where I can't was the only thing I ever said. And now it's not part of my dictionary. I can't is defeatist. I can't is something that you say to yourself when you don't want to do it, when you're avoiding, when you're afraid. But I challenge you and everybody out there to say, you know what, maybe I can't right now, but let's figure out how I can. And that's kind of the premise of what I do.
Right. And I think it's important because so many people let their current situation define everything and not realizing that every day we have the opportunity to take a step forward, that we don't have to make everything perfect in an instant, like you're fixing something in the microwave. Okay, add 2 cups of water, put on high for 90 seconds, and ding, you're done. It's more of a process. That's what people have to understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is a process. And I mean, the other thing is that the way societies develop, the way we're raised and grown, it's just the way that we start to see things as well. I mean, we're an instant gratification society, but the fact of the matter is that not everything is instant gratification. Some things take a lot of work, they take a lot of effort, they take a lot of time and skill and knowledge, but absolutely everything out there is something that you could learn to do with the right time and energy. I mean, I'm allergic to math. That's something I always say. I'm allergic to math. I really do try my little heart out, and I can manage my budgeting and things, but it's just not my forte. And at one point, it was I can't do that. Now I do it. Is it easy for me? No. Do I want to do it? No. Can I do it? Well, absolutely. But that's where people like me come in, because if there's things that are really uncomfortable or time consuming or you can't do because you don't have the abilities, you can either learn to do it yourself or outsource. And that's kind of the premise of my business.
Oh, then that's perfect because I think so many times people, when they look at something, oh, I'm not good at this, and then they don't try it. And sometimes those beliefs, it's because of someone else saying, oh, well, you're not really good at this, so maybe you shouldn't do that. And you adopt it, and you just realize that you had a stumbling block. You think of how many people that they were told, oh, you're not really good at this whole math thing, or maybe you're not, the school thing's not cut out for you. You look at famous people throughout history like Albert Einstein in terms of the things that his early teachers said to him. Like, if they would have known what he would create later, they might not have said that.
And that's always the hope, right? But I mean,
right.
we have to be masters of our own destiny. And one of the most empowering things that I've learned on my journey is to reframe that idea around failure or limitations. In our household, in our business, we do not fail. There's no such thing as failure. Failure is an archaic term, and I absolutely detest it. You only fail if you stop trying. Before that, everything is an attempt. And I say it because it is so important a value. So many people are afraid to do things because they're afraid to fail. But I don't think that they understand that the only way you can fail is if you never do it again. I mean, if I go out and cut my yard with my lawnmower and I do it all squiggly, it's not going to mean that I don't do it the next time because I failed. It's just my first attempt looked a little bit wonky. Right? So that's something that we embody here. I can't doesn't exist. Failure is not a thing because just do it. That's really the important thing. And it's something that I encourage listeners to do. It's something I encourage everybody to do. Just start. You're going to have a learning curve. You're going to have a growth process. You're going to make mistakes, but they are just mistakes. They are attempts to get you to that final goal. And there's my pep rally for today.
I like to jokingly say there's only one thing in life that you can fail at: if you burn popcorn, because that's just a total failure.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I might give you that one. I might
Because,
give you that one. I would also say boiling noodles, but that's my own little issue.
but outside of that, like people say, well, why burning popcorn? Like that smell goes everywhere. That everyone's like, oh my gosh, who did it? And then you're just trying to hide, like, okay, I didn't mean to do it. I was distracted for 15 more seconds, and it went from perfect to charred.
Oh, well, I totally get it. When I was younger, I used to do a lot of dancing. I went to a lot of rehearsals, performances, things like that. And the worst one for us is if you forgot what you were doing with a curler in your hair, that
Uh-oh.
burnt hair smell will permeate everything for like days.
Right. Yeah. There are certain things in life, like whatever you do, you can try again at lots of things. But this short little list, don't mess that up because people will look at you really funny for a while, and it'll take days to get that stench out of the air.
But even still, I'm even going to challenge you there because even if you quote unquote fail at making the popcorn and it smells funny for a couple of days or even just, an afternoon and everybody makes fun of you. I mean, A, nobody's going to remember that past a couple of days because really, who has the memory for that? And B, you've just created a story that you can share with people to enhance bonding. So now if there's anybody in that office that you wanted to talk to or somebody you wanted to connect with, make a joke about your popcorn. Everything has a brilliant silver lining. You just have to move the pieces around until you can see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that silver lining with burnt popcorn has a lot of tarnish on it. So you have to work a little bit harder at that one.
Hey, I have started some great conversations over burnt popcorn. I actually made a sale over burnt popcorn once because we had some clients in the building. One of the people there had burnt some popcorn and the clients were standing there chatting. I chatted with them. We laughed about the popcorn. They liked me. People buy things from people they like.
Well, naturally, it's
So that burnt popcorn still had a silver lining. Ha ha ha.
Well, yes, I will give you that one. You can have that little victory.
But you're right. I don't think there's any benefit to singed hair.
No, no. It's not an easy fix because, well, one, it's singed, so you're walking around with it, and then guess what you got to do? Trim it out, especially if it's more than one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Some things you just don't want to happen. Like, what was that smell? Oh, no, not that. But enough about burnt popcorn, singed hair, and those types of things. So tell everybody a little bit more about how did you get into your business of when you're wanting to escape from the situation you're in. You're looking at, well, what can I do? What was it? It's like to have the aha moment, like, aha, I got it. And you started doing it.
Well, I'd like to say that I had an aha moment. I also deal with the mental illness. So I deal with borderline personality disorder. It means that my ability to think isn't necessarily as clear as others. Now, for me, it wasn't just sit down, I'm going to do this, boom, magic idea and go. It really, really wasn't. I wanted it to be. I wanted to just be instantly successful. Ooh, ah, wah, that's what I wanted. But it doesn't work like that. So, and this is something that I've actually helped coach other people through just because I like to help people. Because when you're feeling vulnerable, when you feel like you're no good, you don't know anything, it's really, really difficult to then build a business based on those feelings of uselessness and worthlessness. So what I had to do was relearn myself and the things that I like and the things that I'm good at so that I could figure out what things I wanted to do on a regular basis and then convert those into money-making ideas. So for me, I was inclined to isolate. I wanted to hide myself away. I was very ashamed, very bruised, broken, just did not want to deal with anybody. But I learned that for me, that was a very negative choice. So rather than hiding myself away, I got out there. I started talking to people. It was uncomfortable. And I started talking, what are your pain points? What are some things that you wish you could do? What can I do to help you? And I found out not only what people need, which was very, very helpful, but I found out where my fortes were, which was helping people, providing ideas, scopes of how they can improve their businesses, how they can take some of that workload off, because I learned that handing off those dreaded tasks are really what's going to improve your efficiency. Everybody has them. And in this process of discovery, that's how I came up with the idea for the Sassy Lasses, because we are there to support and to take some of those dreaded tasks away so that you can put your time where it's at. I mean, Byron, what's one thing that you do for your business that you absolutely loathe?
One thing that I do for my business? Well, I don't know. That for me, that's hard because I designed it to the fact that everything I do, like, I enjoy it. So, like, there's really nothing I don't like doing.
So everything, right? You like paying the bills. You like finding people. You like everything.
Yeah, I mean, paying the bills means I'm doing something right. Like, it's the cost of business. Like, all right, click, 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 done.
Well, it's good. The truth goes so fast. What about taxes? Doing your business taxes, paying into your income tax every couple of months. There's got to be something that you are not particularly fond of.
Well, I would put it to you this way: if I had to say more of something I don't particularly enjoy, it's more like, let's say, housekeeping. In terms of, like, I don't want to have to spend the time doing it. I'd rather pay somebody to do that, because if I'm doing that, that means I am not doing things to generate sales.
Perfect. See, so there is stuff. Everybody's got different stuff. And you know what, Byron, you and I, we're tight, because I'm the same way. After working on my business all day and meeting with people and doing podcasts and building websites, and at the end of the day, I'm like, no, I don't want to do those dishes. Thank you very much. So that's exactly what we mean, though. And that's where this idea came from, because if you had the ability to access someone who would just come in, make everything pretty and shiny without you ever noticing that they are there, would you want to do it?
Oh, in a heartbeat. That means,
right.
Like, and shiny versus, I got to do it.
Exactly. So if somebody was there to make that process quick, easy, and painless for you, you'd be like, here's my money. So we built a business on that. I mean, we take care of those things that in your business, you're like, yeah, I could do that, or I could go have another Twinkie, or yeah, I could pay that vendor, or I could go and write another email series, right? Everybody has things that they really enjoy doing and things that they really don't. The thing about things that you don't enjoy doing is that they will naturally take you longer. You don't like them, period. So would you say, Byron, that your time is valuable?
Oh, it's priceless.
Your time is priceless. So knowing that those dreaded tasks like cleaning, it's going to take you 2 to 3 times longer than somebody who likes it, does it for a living, and does it all the time, doesn't that mean that you're spending far more in your own time than you would in money?
Oh, easily. That's the case with a lot of things. You have to look at what are you most efficient at.
Exactly. So that's the premise of our business. And that's, my exploration process, my learning to expand past the abuse, past, being a homebody, past all of these things. In the process, this is what I learned, is that all of us small business owners, entrepreneurs, even big businesses, we all have things that we're just not equipped to do as well as maybe someone else. So we've built a business around that. And it gives me such joy to be able to talk to people and help them with the things that I know they're dreading. It's the same way that, when I handed off all of my accounting to my accountant, who is also my husband, brilliant, it was probably like the best moment of my life. I'm like, yes, no more accounting. And it's liberating. And that's what I like to give back to people.
And that's the most important thing if you think about in business, because one of the things I talk about, what you have to do is begin handing off the things that you don't want to do, because each of us only have 24 hours in a day. And if we're wanting to grow and scale our business, there's a finite amount that any one person can do themselves. But to create that exponential growth, you have to leverage the talents of others.
Exactly. And leverage the talents of others. There's just so many different ways to do it. And a lot of people out there forget that they don't have to just get a full-time individual in their business to be able to do those things. That there are options out there to get business support. And support is really one of the biggest things for business owners. Whether you're coming through domestic violence, whether or not you have a mental illness, I don't care. Having support in your business is absolutely fundamental. And support can look like somebody to help you do the books. Support can look like a Facebook group that you visit all the time. Support can look like a mastermind group. Support can look like a lot of different things, but that's definitely one of the biggest tips that we constantly say as business owners is look for support when and where you need it.
And that's so priceless because people don't necessarily value the experience of others. You know, if you look at that journey people go through as an entrepreneur where they're doing everything themselves, and then there's that bit of that fear of letting go. So how do you help people overcome that fear of that perfection? Like, well, if I give it to someone else, are they going to do it to the same standard as I do?
Well, we make that transition seamless. Thankfully, I've got a really, really good team working with me. And in most cases, I'll sit down, I'll help figure it out. I'll figure out exactly what you need it to do, what you like about it, what you don't. Sometimes we improve upon things. Sometimes we just take models as is. And I mean, we pick them up seamlessly. That's our track record. But a lot of people are afraid to let things go. At the end of the day, it comes down to just a couple of points. One, you have to at some point. As much as you'd like to think that you're going to be a one-man show all your life, if you are, you'll never move forward. You're never going to advance. So at some point, you're going to have to let go of something. Since you know you're going to have to let go of something, it makes sense that you start letting go of the things that cost you more in your own time than it would cost out of pocket. And so I will go through this process with people. Usually they'll come onto my website or they'll follow me on social media and they'll be like, hey, so what does this look like? Like, I know I need help, but I don't know how. I don't know what I need. And we'll help them through that process of figuring out what's going to be the most comfortable for you to hand off, what's going to be what takes up the most time. Where can we support you so that you can take those free hours and put them where you really need to? By going through that process with my potential clients, they're also able to feel more comfortable with the release process because they are choosing what steps they want to take to better their business.
Well, and you know, that in itself is so critical and important. I think where people tend to forget about things, it's how do you start letting go of that stuff? Because if you look at it, people get tied down, they get asphyxiated on the perfection and not realizing that letting go is just part of the normal growth process of a business, that someone's going to do it differently than you do. It's the evolution a business must go through.
Exactly. And we all must go through it. But that's why support is so key and why I'll sing it from the rooftops as many times as I need, because all of our journeys are going to be slightly different. All of our journeys are going to take different paths, see different things, but that doesn't mean that they're not all going to have similarities. And it's a lot easier when you reach out and you hear that there's other people going through the same things. So definitely that support piece, and knowing that letting go doesn't mean that you're asking for lower quality. Letting go doesn't mean that you don't care or that you're giving up. It's actually when you let go of pieces of your business, and I really, really hope that people internalize this, when you let go and you hand off pieces of your business, you're actually being a responsible business owner because you are taking pieces of your business that may be suffering due to the fact that you don't like them or you don't have time to do them, and you're handing it off to people who can actually do something to help you. So you are doing more to help yourself than hurt yourself. Handing things off is going to build your business, not break your baby.
And that is priceless because people must comprehend that in order to grow. It's things are not going to get broken, and it's all about you get the right people on board. It's no different than if you're playing sports. You want to make sure you have the right people on your team. Otherwise, you're just not going to get any points in the win column. So you have to think carefully.
Well, exactly. And I mean, sure, you have to think carefully. But the other thing is that you have to be ready and you have to be willing to pull the trigger, right? You have to be willing to take that jump and to start doing things. what we always say around here, and I'm sure I've heard it elsewhere, is that when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you're feeling stressed out or unsure, it means that you're growing. It means that you're changing. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're not succeeding. It doesn't mean that you're performing subpar. It means that your brain is resisting change. You're doing something that's new and different and frightening, and your brain responds as such.
And I think it's something that people have to understand at a greater level, because that sense of uncomfortableness is something we have to become accustomed to in life. Because if you think about it, if you become too comfortable, that means you're not exerting any pressure to create growth, which means, guess what? You're at that same level. And you look at the number of businesses out there that have become comfortable and they've not grown in 5, 10, 15 years. They've always just been stagnant.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm not one of those people, not by a long shot. But I know that there are definitely those out there that they stay stagnant. They stay in their comfort zone. And okay, sure, that comfort zone has its benefits. Especially, when you're having a bad day, things like that. Comfort zones do have their place, but it should never be in your business. You should always feel a slight level of anticipation, discomfort, fear, excitement with your business, because that is how you know that you are growing. You will not always succeed. You will not always do really, really well, but you will always grow, and growth is important.
It is. And I think that's an important thing you just said there, that growth is always going to take place, even if success is not there.
Exactly. Even especially when success isn't there. In fact, failure leads to more growth than success. And that's just a fact of the matter. I mean, when was the last time that you said, wow, I'm really happy and comfortable and look at all of these new and exciting things I just accomplished?
I don't think anyone's ever said that.
Yeah, exactly. People don't say that. It's not, oh, look, I'm comfortable here. Let me create the best thing I've ever made. It's, oh, I need to feed my family, or, oh, I need to pay the bills, or, oh, I really want to get into that competition. And that's where the brilliance comes from.
Right. That whole adversity is what truly challenges us and brings out the best in us. Think of the number of people I've talked to over the years where they had no choice but to make it work. Where they looked in their wallet and they realized, like, well, there's more like dust than money in there, so they had to do something, and they had to show up every single day in order to go up. They couldn't go any further backwards because that was unacceptable because the pain was too much. So they had to go forward. There's no reason why they couldn't.
I love that you brought that up, because I mean, that's really how a lot of entrepreneurs get started, make it big. It's not usually the guys that have all the money in their pockets that are the ones making waves. Usually it's the ones that are without money, without a place to live. The people who have a great need are usually the people that rise fastest. And I mean, we see that all over the place. There's tons of people like that. I was just talking with my husband. Keanu Reeves has a story like that. If you look into imposter syndrome, tons and tons of people have stories like that. Tina Fey has some stories like that. The nice lady who writes Harry Potter, I don't know where her... J.K. Rowling. With her, she had several failed books. She had multiple publishers not even want to touch Harry Potter, and now look where she is. So sometimes need is what drives us to actually do what we would otherwise avoid. In my case, I hit rock bottom. I mean, my partner went to jail. I had no income, no way to support myself. I hadn't left my house in forever. I mean, I was a wreck. And that is what drove the innovation and drove the need to improve. So, I mean, as much as nobody wants to be uncomfortable, I challenge everyone to find ways to be uncomfortable in their business, because that's how they're going to find success and growth.
It is indeed. That's where we have to grow. It's that external pressure, because you think about it, if that situation you're in where you realize you haven't left the house in a long time and you had no money, you had no choice at that point. Like, if you didn't do something, well, the result was really going to be crappy. So you had to take action.
Exactly. And some of the best entrepreneurs have come out of things like that. So I don't know, for any entrepreneurs, business owners, anybody listening to this, I suppose what I would say is to always look at your challenges and your diversities as opportunities to move forward faster than everybody else. The more challenges that you deal with, the more problems that you solve, the better prepared you are, and the more you move forward. Don't be afraid of change.
Oh, I love that, because so many people, they're afraid of change because it scares them, because things are going to be different. But if you think about it, the world we live in is constantly evolving. And that if we don't embrace it, we get left behind.
Well, exactly. And you know what? I'm gonna change that slightly. Go ahead. If you want to be afraid of change, you go right ahead and be afraid of change. I am okay with people experiencing fear just like any other emotion. I think what I should really say is don't let it stop you. Being afraid of something should never make it so that you don't do it. I mean, just because I'm absolutely like downright terrified of moths doesn't mean that I won't use an outhouse if I really gotta go. You know, that's just the way it is. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is that they let their fears stop them rather than understanding them for what they are and pushing forward anyways.
Right. And that's so true. We have to push through those fears regardless. So then, as you were creating your business, how did you decide on what type of service to offer? Because you realized, like, ooh, I can help businesses with the things that they don't really need to be doing. But then how did you figure out of all the multitude of things to narrow it down to that core few?
Well, there's really two phases to this. One, I didn't start out that way. I originally started out as a virtual office and event planning group.
That's different.
We definitely had a much broader range of things. So realizing that when you start, it might not be 100%. That's A-okay. But a couple things that I can say is, first of all, niche. Now, for anybody who's not aware of that, it's about making your audience smaller. So that's probably one of the things that I found really helpful in shaping a successful business, was really truly refining my audience. So we got rid of the event stuff and some of the other services that didn't matter. And we built into one niche, supporting entrepreneurs and business owners from ground up. We found that niche, and that's the niche we live in. So I feel that having that niche is really, really, really important to developing it to that point.
And I think it's important we do understand that, and that niching down in it, because it's overcoming that help everybody syndrome that so many entrepreneurs start with, like, but my product, my service, everybody needs it. Well, you might think everybody needs it, not everybody wants it. So you have to focus in on who's going to want to buy it.
Well, exactly. And I mean, even if you don't look at it from that point, because sure, there's going to be products that could possibly appeal to everybody if you market them right. However, unless you are a Walmart or one of those other really big box stores, there's no way you're going to be able to mass distribute, mass market to make a dent. So knowing that you don't have the ability to compete in those markets, the smart thing to do is refine your market. But the other way to look at it is essentially this. So take 10 people, any 10 people. Think of 10 people in your head. Pull from political references, movies, TV, it doesn't matter. You get 10 people. And once you have those 10 people, I want you to sell each and every one of those people the exact same product in the exact same way. And tell me whether or not you're successful.
Right.
And that's exactly where it comes down to. I tell entrepreneurs that, I'm like, you're not going to be able to sell me in the same way that you're going to sell yourself, or the same way that you'd sell my husband or the guy down the street. Like, everybody's going to find different things attractive. The best thing that you can do is, instead of trying to appeal to everybody at once, which could mean that nobody likes it, you want to pick one or two people, refine your tactics just to get them. And then instead of saying, oh, well, I advertised to 10 people and I got none, you say, I targeted directly to 2 people and they both buy. Oh, and by the way, they just sent me referral business. Ta-da!
Right.
So that's really the importance behind niching that sometimes I don't think people truly understand. People think more audience is more money, is more possibility, but that's actually rather, well, wrong. The more people you have to market to, the harder it gets and the less viable it becomes. You need to niche down, you need to market down in order to refine your verbiage, your images, the way that you approach your audience so that they actually want to respond.
And that in itself is so critical for people to understand that it might seem like it'd be easier to have a message go in front of a larger audience, but then it's a message that can quickly fall in deaf ears versus you niche down to the exact people who are most likely to buy, and guess what happens? It's now the magic can take place because then people are looking at it from a different perspective. Like, oh, that resonates with me. I understand your message versus I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, exactly. And I mean, people get so afraid to niche down because they feel like they're cutting off a section of the market, but you're not. You're just making it so that this smaller section of the market loves you and adapts to you. Once you have your paws comfortably set around that market, then you can start to expand into other ones. You're just enabling yourself to do everything efficiently and, with the least amount of resources, I suppose.
Right, and here's the other thing about it when you look at niching down. Because the message resonates with a particular audience, then if those people really begin to know, like, and trust you, they're more likely to give you a referral than someone who has no interest in what you're doing at all.
Well, exactly. And referral business is huge. I operate a large portion of my business on referral business. So knowing that niching down will get you the right eyes, you can also know that those right eyes are going to share it with the other people who are in their niche. So you essentially enable your content to be more shareable across the people that would be more likely to pay for your products.
Right. That's what you have to do. It makes all the difference in the world when you focus on that niche. So then how did your business evolve into its current form as it transitioned from the event planning and management arena into what it is now?
Funny story. Like many entrepreneurs, I made mistakes. I did some silly things. When I first started the business, I was originally, I had somebody who was a sort of partnering with me. The business is mine. It's all under my name, but they wanted to be very much a part of it. But you learn about people's commitment levels. You learn about your commitment levels in comparison to other people. You learn about your fortes. I went through a process of discovery. I did some great events, don't get me wrong. We had some wonderful events. We did some charity, it was fantastic, but it wasn't my forte. It was the other person that I had involved at that time. And as that other person rapidly lost their luster for business and their need to grow and improve like I have, we drifted apart. And so I had to make a decision. So I cut the extra person off and I said, you know what? I don't do event planning on my own, nor do I want to do it. It's time consuming. It gives me a headache and I don't want to leave my house. So for me, it was, again, all a process of experimentation. I had to fail. I did. I had to hit the ground several different times in several different ways. But again, we don't consider them failures unless we quit. And I didn't. I'm almost 2 years into business. I'm doing very, very well. And it's because I didn't ever stop. Sure, I made a mess a few times. Let's just be fair. And there were times when I've had to scrape by eating absolutely nothing. The joys of being an entrepreneur. But that's how it got me to where I am now. And now I have really strong branding, really strong messaging, really strong future, hopes, dreams, and I had to work for it, but I wasn't afraid to get dirty along the way.
And that is by far the most important thing is you knew what your strength was and then you put in the work because there's so many people out there that is mindset of, well, I just told a couple people about my business, so I should be successful. No, you need to tell a whole lot of people about your business that are most likely to buy from you.
You have to tell a lot of people again and again and again and again and again. And marketing is changing and everything is changing. I mean, you can't just walk around and say, hey, best friend 1, 2, and 3, buy my stuff and you're going to pay my bills for the next X number of years. No, 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 no. Lots more work than that. And I mean, gosh, they say that most people now, on average, need to see something up to 7 times before it even registers. And that's what I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget, is that if somebody sees your ad once, that's great. The likelihood that they're going to click on it, very low. Very, very low. Because it's the first time they've seen it. And I mean, think about when you scroll your Facebook or when you're on Twitter or this, that, or the other. I mean, you just sit there and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll. Do you even notice those ads most of the time? Probably not. So you have to understand this, because when you're doing your marketing and when you're getting out there, you have to know that just because you left a comment on someone's post somewhere, that doesn't mean they're going to see it, respond to it, or buy something from you. Just because you put out one blog post and you share it in a couple of groups doesn't mean it's going to get there. What you have to do in order to build your brand, your business, and yourself, it's an everyday thing. Building your brand is not one and done. Building your business, building your brand is an everyday activity. It's something that you touch and you handle all the time in every activity that you do. And that's what I think a lot of people forget.
It is indeed. So what are some of those tasks that you do on a daily basis to build your brand? Because I'm sure there's some people wondering, like, every day, okay, so now what?
I'm sure I've intimidated people. It's not that hard. Really, it's consistency. So we really like Twitter. We're consistent on Twitter. We do Facebook, Instagram, that sort of thing. So for us, to be consistent in our branding and messaging, we do custom branded memes for everything. Anytime I'm going to post something, it is branded to my business. I generally won't recycle things. Now, I do have someone who helps me with social media. Sometimes she will, because we do sometimes use recycled content. But for us, posting on point is posting with branded content. On top of that, when we're doing it, we're using a lot of our own content. So we write blog pieces that we can then extrapolate to other things. We make sure that the videos that we put out, the articles that we share, absolutely any point of engagement from us to our client eyeballs is considered part of our branding. My email signature is considered part of my branding. The way I answer my phone is considered part of my branding. Heck, the way I go into Facebook groups and talk to people is part of my branding. Everything becomes part of your branding these days because, again, people need to see you again and again and again to even know you're there. So you have to make sure that every time they see you, it's the same feel and projection that you want for your image.
Right, exactly. It's really powerful stuff. So as we begin wrapping things up here, what's one thing you'd recommend that entrepreneurs do if they're truly wanting to grow their business?
So if I would say probably one of the best things that you could do to grow your business is to ask for referrals. Ask. You don't know if you don't ask, and you would not believe. I mean, I ask my clients every couple of months for referrals because they just don't think about it. I mean, you could ask them once and then they're like, oh yeah, I should really refer this person to you. And then 6 months later, you ask them again and they're like, shoot, let me connect you right now. So referrals are a huge portion of it. You can do so well through referral business. But outside of that, if I was going to say do one thing, it's go and make sure that your website is mobile friendly. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but this day and age, they're now saying that more than 50% of people are viewing your content on mobile the first time. So that means that if you do not have mobile compatible anything, like if your website's not mobile compatible, if the stuff that you're sharing and they're seeing is not mobile compatible, you are going to lose their eyeballs. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I would say to do today is start moving towards mobile compatibility, because that will make the biggest difference in your business. The other thing that you could do to grow your list, I guess, if you want to do it right away, is I've started using a tool called Sumo. It's a plugin for WordPress. Holy crow, it's doubled my traffic in 2 weeks. So a couple of things that you can kind of look at on the fly. That's where I would say to start.
Right. And what aspects are you using of Sumo that doubled your traffic?
Oh, I use the image share, I use the list builder, I use the heat map, the tracking, and I use the content share. So I use all of the lovely share tools as well as all of their analytic tools and their list building tools. Primarily because, I mean, for me, it seems to be working really well. People like to share things that other people like, so that bodes well for me. It makes sharing things easier for people, which is better for everybody. If you do not make it easy for people to share your social content, they won't. Finally, for me, the list builder component is really fantastic because it's intuitive and it knows where to put your information to really get those captures. So that's why I really like Sumo. Plus, I'm doing all of it on the free version right now, and it's still awesome. Just saying.
Oh, that is awesome that you're doing it that way, because so many people think, but I have to pay for all that. But you're just proving that you made an impact just using the free version, which is incredible.
I am all about being thrifty with your business. And if anybody out there is listening, they have any questions, they want to know how to be a little bit more thrifty, you let me know. I love to find workarounds to everything because the less you spend money on your business means the more in your pocket.
Oh, definitely. Well, I want to thank you for coming into the podcast today and sharing a wealth of wisdom on overcoming obstacles and growing a business and being thrifty at the end of it all. So how can people learn more about you and reach out to you?
Absolutely. So I am on all of the social media platforms. On Facebook, it's the Sassy Lasses. On Twitter, it's Sassy_Lasses. So definitely check us out there. I basically live in those two places. You can always visit me on my website, sassylasses.com. And we have blogs 2 to 3 times a week. So please come check them out. We just did an amazing post on beating blogging burnout. So come on down, check it out. Otherwise, if you guys ever want to get in touch with me, please feel free to shoot me an email. My inbox is always open. It's Sacha@sassylasses.com. And for anybody listening to this as a special extra tip, if you have questions, burning dire questions, and you need some immediate support, shoot me a text. It's 403-200-4090.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, once again, thank you for coming onto the podcast today and sharing your wealth of wisdom. And I hope that you have an amazing day.
And thank you so much, Byron. It's been so much fun chatting with you. I've had such a great time, and it'll be so great being able to share with your constituents as well. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.